Hey everybody, it's been a while. It's been about 3 years. I have been doing a lot, so welcome back to North Texas Prepper Gal. I haven't been doing as much prepping as in trying to stay afloat. Y'all, it's been rough. These last few years have been rough. Inflation, all that stuff. My stockpile and my prepping when I was prepping like on the regular has came in handy. I still have stuff from my couponing and prepping days that I still have that I still use that has saved me a lot of money. But the one thing that I let go, let me tell y'all what happened. See, what had happened was, no, like, but for real, in April of 2022, at work, I sprained my ankle, I fractured my foot, I messed it up, as in, like, for real, messed it up. I was down for like a year and a half, about a year and a half, from April 2022 until after my surgery, which was January 2023. I fractured my foot. I did tons of therapy. All that wasn't getting better. Had shots, tons of the physical therapy again and again and again. I did session after session of physical therapy and everything. Had doctor's visits, appointments, all kinds of exercises, everything. Injections. Then they went in there, and when they opened my foot up, because I had to have surgery to get it, they thought it was scar tissue that was, just causing me a lot of pain in my foot. Opened me up to clean it out. Oh crap, your ligament is torn. That's why it's not getting better. Like the MRIs, the 2 MRIs couldn't tell y'all that. I guess not. So ended up having a torn ligament. They had to sew it back up. Had to go in a cast, boot, all that stuff. Couldn't walk. That was at the end of 2022. 2023, January, the cast came off. Couldn't use my foot really. Had to start back over, go through all kinds of therapies and this, that, and the other. Re-sprained my ankle again that summer when I was finishing up therapy. Back in the boot, back into therapy, all that kind of stuff. And finally, it got better around December. I still have issues with it, swelling up, being sore and pain and stuff, but I can walk on it again. So what's crazy is in March of 2022, I had completely grown planted my spring garden for March 2022. All my plants, I had just finished putting them all in the ground. This happened. I'm the gardener. My husband just likes to claim everything, but I'm the gardener. I couldn't walk because my backyard was mulch and I was on crutches and scooters and all that. I just couldn't do it. So I told him to go outside, check on my garden, babe. Just go see what's growing. I was like, you see any cucumbers? You see any tomatoes? You see anything? No, I don't see nothing. Nothing's growing yet. I'm like, oh, okay. It's only been a few weeks. I guess nothing's growing yet. And then about a week later, I'm like, surely something. So I managed to hobble out of my house, out of my back door, on I think crutches, or I took a scooter. I took something. I had to get out there and see for myself. I think it was crutches. And I looked, and the cucumbers were like big as my arm, and they had turned solid yellow. I'm like, you told me there was nothing out there. He's like, I didn't see it. I'm like, so my entire garden for 2022 basically got scrapped. I mean, it was rain, it was green, it was lush, had plenty of fruit on the vines, everything, but I couldn't pick them. And he tried to pick them, but then when he picked them, I couldn't can them, preserve them, all that, because I was just in a mood. And the whole garden 2022. And after that, I was like, oh, screw it. I did not realize how quick nature takes over a garden when you don't tend it. So late 2022, weeds got it. Didn't do any gardening in 2023, 2024. In 2024, I used wood and I had stained some of it when I made my raised garden beds. Well, all the wood's rotted. So, because it had been like 4 or 5 years, so all the wood was rotted. So I pulled up all my garden beds. My walkways, I used to keep those nicely mulched, overgrown with weeds. That soil is awesome now, but yeah, my whole garden's just... So now it looks like straight garbage. It looks like garbage. Let me show y'all through this window. It looks terrible. Yeah. So I had to take it apart, and now I just have a few things out there, trees, but no vegetables, no fruit or anything. Yeah. So my garden looks horrible. And I was talking to my neighbor across the street. Hey, Jason. He don't watch me. But we were talking, and I was like, I'm planning to get back into gardening, and I couldn't find any reasonably priced garden beds. They were all like, well, from the channels that I watch, James P. up in Jersey. I'm not gonna butcher that man's last name. Emma Gardner, Roots and Refuge. The garden beds that they recommend are like $100 and something, $200 and some each for like a 2x6, 3x6, 2x4s, those size beds. I'm like, I said, no, I don't have that. So I went online and just Googled, metal garden beds. I'm not gonna do any more wood because it rots. I have a couple of wooden beds that I had just bought the wood and had put them in, and I was like, that next week I was gonna go get the soil and put everything down. I put the cardboard down. I had made the bed. I was just gonna fill it up with the soil and plant, but I hurt my foot, so they had just been sitting there with nothing in them. Now they're like full of weeds. So I Googled some beds. I wanted some metal ones, some that were gonna last years and years. I have to worry about rotting. And Walmart, a supplier from Walmart, they had some. They were on clearance and deeply discount. Like, you can get the 2x2x1, like 2 foot by 2 foot round, 1 foot deep, galvanized brown, like a wood grain finish. They were like $50 for 3 of them. They were sold in sets of 3. And then the 2 foot by 8 foot by 4 foot, I believe, those were I think $95 each. I got like 7 of those, and then I got some 2x4x1. Those were 2 of those were like I think $85 for 2 of them, and I grabbed like 2 of those, 2 or 3, I forget. But I ordered all of those. Those will be delivered tomorrow, and then middle of next week. And I'm just gonna start prepping, doing everything. And my husband, he has a business. He does junk removal. He got a bunch of tree branches and stuff in the back of his trailer. He filled it up, and I was like, I can use that to put at the bottom of my bed to nourish my plants and soil and all that good stuff. And I got a ton of cardboard because I moved out of my warehouse. I was doing crafts in my warehouse, and I was like, you know what, money tight. I need to use one of them 4 bedrooms I got. We have our bedroom, and then we got 3 other ones, and basically they're our storage room / exercise. This one's my craft room, and the other one is like a guest / excess, craft supply room. But I moved everything. This is the largest room. I moved all my stuff from my warehouse into the storage, and I brought it home. And I got a project to do after this. I do sewing, and I make wreaths. So I'm gonna get my beds tomorrow and start putting them together. Hopefully they come before work. The other ones that come in the middle of the week, I'll put them together when they come. And I'm just prepping the wood that my husband got from his job. I'm going to use that to line the bottom of the beds and everything. And I'm just slowly finna start building my garden up. And by fall, because tomorrow's June 1st, I'm not supposed to do no summer garden in Texas. It's too hot and it takes too long and too much to water. Like my water bill skyrockets in the summertime here when I have a garden or trying to do a garden. But the fall garden, I'm prepping for the fall garden. I'm all over the place, y'all. I have a craft channel and I'm gonna bring this prepping / gardening channel back. I might change the name of it instead of Prepper to Garden Gal or something like that. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get back into my gardening because these prices at these grocery stores getting ridiculous. And then I'll be looking at it funny. I'll be like, I wonder what they put in this. Mind you, spinach and cabbage. I'm like, it's supposed to be that big. What kind of fertilizer and hormones they putting in this stuff? I just look at it sideways, or I don't buy it because I was like, I ain't gonna eat that. Probably be like 3 weeks before I feel like eating that. And it's gonna be, you know what, no good, or I'm gonna be looking at it, is this still good? If I gotta think in my head, is this still good? Should I eat this? How long has this been in there? I ain't eating it. I ain't. Just not. But the garden, I want to start my garden up again. I love growing stuff. Even if it's stuff I've never ate before, like me, I absolutely, positively hate tomatoes. I hate them. Tomatoes. Now, tomato sauce, foods with tomato, in it, I can do it. But just, hey, here's a tomato, just pick it up, bite it, or on a sandwich or burger. No. When I grew my garden, I grew tomatoes. How can you have a garden without tomatoes? It can't be done. So I grew them. I'm like, these nasty and disgusting, but I like salsa. So I knew how to can, because before I did the garden, the first thing I did was learn how to can. Mind you, I'm rusty. I have to go through the tutorial and all that again. But I was like, I can make my own salsas. And, tomato sauces and stuff. What I did, I made salsas. And I grew some tomatoes and some tiny ones. I was like, I'm going to taste this. I don't like them tomatoes, but I'm going to taste it. I got that tomato. I'm like, oh, this is delicious. Those ground cherries, I love those. And then my little Roma tomatoes. I grew all kinds of tomatoes. And I made salsas and sliced them up. And my husband was putting them on sandwiches and stuff. I did my tomatoes, homegrown from my garden. That stuff at the store, I don't know what they're doing to it. I don't know what they're doing to it, but those things are disgusting. I can't do it. Stuff they put on sandwiches at the, sandwich shops and burger places and all that. I can't do it. The only tomatoes that I eat are mine. And so what I'm gonna do is plan out my garden. I'm gonna plant it. I still got seeds from like 2019. Now I heard seeds don't go bad, but the germination, decreases over time. So what I'm going to do, I ordered a catalog from Baker's Seed Company. I think it's something Baker. I think heirloom.com. Or what is the? Hold on, give me one hot second. It's gonna bother me. It's gonna bother me until I look up the name of the seed company. I think it's Baker Seed. Yeah, Baker Creek Heirloom Seed Company. I ordered a catalog. They're free in the U.S. I ordered one of those catalogs. In my gardeners, the stuff that I was looking at on his site was sold out. I was looking at a bunch of fruit stuff, and he's like, sold out. I guess it's not the season for that. You got to do it earlier in the fall or in the spring, but it's not the season. He doesn't have any in stock. So I get my seeds. I've ordered from Baker Creek before. They're a little pricey, And I think I've ordered just a few from In My Gardener. But the main place I get my seeds, Dollar General, Dollar Tree, $4 for $4.25. Y'all, ain't nothing wrong with those seeds. Nothing. They're cheap, and there's nothing wrong with them seeds. I have a ton of seeds. And y'all, I'm going to do I'm going to show y'all the seeds I have after I do this video. I'm going to do another one, and I'm going to show y'all what I have left. Over the years, I hadn't been gardening, but I knew I was going to get back into it. So I was like, you know what? This is, it's late summer, fall time. All that shade cloth and the weed cloth, not shade cloth, the weed cloth that they had is normally like $5. It's like 90% off, 50 cents. I stocked up on that stuff. All the containers. I've been seeing so much stuff on container gardening, and I've been wanting to try some container gardening with certain things. And they were like 75% off. So I was grabbing, I got so many containers. And then the garden center up here in Decatur, a few years ago when I was gardening, I went to the owner and I was like, hi, do y'all have any containers y'all don't want? She's like, sure, they're in the bin. She had this big like white plastic bin, all her old like seedling trays, containers that they didn't want, threw them in there. I dove in there and your girl got tons of those. Also, I saw a video about a week or so ago on how to make your own vertical stock, like green stock, instead of ordering one of the stocks, for like $100, $120 or whatever from one of the websites. You can make your own with Dollar Tree planters, those little 3. I'm gonna show y'all that too when I show y'all my seeds. The planters from Dollar Trees and a T-post. And I was like, oh, that's cool. So I got the planters to do that. I'm gonna go back to Dollar Tree and get some more of those because I want a few of those. I am gonna do up my garden for the fall, y'all. Like seriously, y'all just follow along. I'm gonna show y'all what I'm doing when I start putting together all my garden beds. They're the galvanized metal garden beds. They're either 12 inches tall or they're 2 feet tall. And when I get them put them, I'm gonna show y'all all that. And then I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna do another video after this one showing y'all all my seeds and everything. And I got all kinds of books. I'm just gonna show y'all what I have because in 2020 and in 2021 I had a garden. And y'all, the main thing that I grew in my garden was okra, potatoes, loofahs, peanuts, strawberries, cantaloupes, watermelon. I had a few tomatoes. I had like 1 or 2 eggplants, like 1 or 2 zucchini plants. It's crazy. I remember where everything was in my head. I tried for cucumbers, but I cannot do cucumbers right for nothing. I had spaghetti squash. What was that other? Peas. I had peas, green beans, pole and vine. And I had a crap ton of mint. I put mint and strawberry in my 8x4 bed. That mint destroyed everything. It took over everything. That second year, that mint, I had a 4x8 foot a bed of mint. Poor little strawberry tried to hang in there, but the mint just wasn't having it. I have a grape plant. I bought it at a box store. That thing has been out there. I haven't did anything to it since 2021. I had a little mulch around it. Y'all, that thing is still alive and it's gigantic now. I don't think any grapes are on it. I haven't been out there to check on it since I haven't did anything with it. But it's still alive through frost and freezes, and that thing's hanging in there. And I have an apple tree that's still hanging in there. Mind you, no fruit because I need to get more apple trees so they can pollinate and all that stuff. But I grew a crap ton of tomatoes. Yeah, tomatoes, potatoes, cantaloupe, watermelon, okra, green beans. I grew carrots, onions. Let me tell y'all what happened with my onions. I would see all these gardeners. They, huge channels and pretty much pro gardeners in my book. They would plant little seeds and get these giant, onions the size of your face. And I was like, oh, I want to do that. Those Walla Wallas, they grow huge. I'm like, I'm going to do that. I'm going to grow me some. Put my little seeds in there, and I planted them, and they started sprouting. I'm like, yes. So springtime, I was like, no, I think I did it in the fall. It was in fall. I went out there, and I was like, yes, I got me some onions, big old green tops. Pulled them up, little bitty baby onion. I was pissed. I was so mad. I was like, what is this? This ain't big ones. So I was like, you know what? Screw these onions. Same thing with my little garlic, little baby, little garlic ones. I was like, screw these garlic too. I'm through with it. So I just left it in the ground. I didn't even bother with it. I was so mad. I was like, stupid seeds. Something's wrong with them. They're not growing. This was in fall. Come springtime, I went out there. I was like, oh, these are looking green and stuff still. I was like, let me get these little babies out of my garden. I pulled that thing up. That thing was the size of my head. I was like, what? Those onions and them garlics were ginormous. And those onions were like about this big around. I was like, oh, I did it. So I pulled them all up and laid them all out so they could, I guess, cure and, so they could dry out on the outside. You know how when you go to the store, it's papery, the big onions. And they were doing that. And then the rainstorm came like 4 days in a row, and they all rotted. I was like, well, I grew them. So now I know how to grow onions and garlic. So I can, they were huge. They were in the ground for I put them in the ground probably in early fall, like October. I think in October, I put them in the ground. And then I took them out like in March or April or something. So they were in the ground for a good 7 months. A good 7 months they were in there, and they grew huge. So some things I learned that you need to plant in the fall and then, harvest in the spring too. The carrots, I was like, these carrots, and I started pulling them up, and it was just green tops and little skinny nothing. So I just left them. I'm like, okay, I guess they're all dead. I went in the garden, and I was like, what is this poking up through all the rest of my stuff? I pulled it up. The freaking carrot was like that long. I was like, oh, my carrots grew. And I started digging. I had all these carrots. I was like, oh, and this was early spring, and I planted those in the fall. Like, wow, this is how this worked. Because nothing grew, because I planted a lot of stuff in like May. And then I watered it. And I'm like, how come it's July and nothing's... Yeah, it's too freaking hot. They don't like that. So, carrots, onions, garlic, okra. I can grow okra like no other. Peanuts, green beans, sweet peas, Armenian cucumbers. Got those down. I grew some butternut squash and those, I think it was butternut squash or spaghetti squash, one of them. All I know is I break out when those leaves and vines touch my arm. I start scratching and break out in a rash. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna plant those things again. Potatoes. Could not get sweet potatoes. I was trying to figure out how to grow those. That takes a bunch of steps, but I might give that a whirl. Like next year though. And peppers. I can grow all kinds of peppers like no other. Tomatoes and peppers and cantaloupes, watermelon, okra. I had a ton of stuff that grew so good in my gardens it was just preserving. And once I grew it, I did it. I would eat some of it and be like, let me give some away. Gave some to my mama and my sister and them, and then I was like, what am I gonna do with the rest of this? And I froze it, and I'm meaning to, do something down the road. Stuff was in the bottom of my freezer for years, and I finally threw it out when I cleaned out my freezer. I was like, I need a better preserving system. Also, I wouldn't mind like donating or setting up selling some, for extra money, expand the garden and all that. And then one thing that I did do that I know how to do, I know how to grow pecans from the pecan nut. I did that. I sprouted those and they grew about this big. Then I forgot to water them for like 3 weeks and they died. But I know how to do it. I'm going to do a little refresher to make sure I still got it. But I'm going to grow me some more pecans from the actual seed. Because I spent, like back in 2019, first thing we bought when we bought our house and on a little land and everything, we bought 3 pecan trees. They were like $50 each. They didn't do anything. I feel like this. When I'm over in my mama's neighborhood, I see pecan tree here, there, everywhere. When I used to rent a house, had like giant pecan trees dropping. I used to pick up the nuts, have pecans, cookies, and then cereal and everything else. I didn't water them. I didn't bathe them. They were just out there. They was trees. They were growing. I got these 3. I put them in a bag. For the first month or so, I watered them. This was in like September, October. After that, I was like, you know what? Let me mulch this, water it one good time, let nature take its course. Yeah, nature didn't take over. They died. One of them's alive, but it's still the same size that I bought it, if not smaller. And that was 5 years ago. I was like, you know what? These pecan trees, maybe, surely they supposed to, grow something. I got multiple ones so they could pollinate and this kind of stuff. And then my neighbor, he was like, yeah, I bought some from there too. They didn't do anything. But when I buy them from other places, they do. They do well. So I was like, I'm going to try to just grow my own from seed and plant them. But from what I was gathering, you really shouldn't plant them too close together, like 50 feet apart. And I was like, if I do 50 foot apart, and I don't want the roots messing with my septic or anything, I could put probably about 8 of them in the backyard. Yeah, I can comfortably put 8. I could put more than that, but I don't want them to crowd my other plants or shade out my other plants. So in the back of my property, I got a little over an acre. I wanted to put like 3 of them back there. But I'm thinking now, I might get more, especially if I sprout them. And then they might have to just fight it out, and whoever survives, the other ones that don't, that'll be some pecan wood for our fire pit or something, or my husband's barbecue pit. But y'all, I got all my garden beds. They're on their way from Walmart.com, and I will be putting those together, and I will start prepping my garden this week. So y'all stay tuned. I have to go, and I'm going to do another video showing y'all what I have to start my garden back up. And also, I have to make some makeup bags and some scrunchies for my inventory. I'm going to do a product launch for my website and all that stuff. And I need to build up my inventory and test out some projects. Well, yeah, test out some new items that I want on my website. So I will see y'all in the next one. Bye.